thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Trisha Grace, and I'm the Alumni Employer Engagement Coordinator with the Alumni Relations Office under the banner of Advancement Office. Today's discussion on being your own boss will proceed for approximately 50 minutes, with 10 minutes set aside at the end for questions. You can add your questions to the chat on the right-hand side, and someone's monitoring that, and we'll do our best to address as many as possible. There is also a closed caption button at the bottom of your screen, and if you prefer to turn that on, just click that and you'll have captioning. This webinar is being recorded and it'll be made available on our alumni webpage. So without further ado, let me introduce our panelists. So Julio Castro is a GBC alumni from the construction management program. He worked at Walsh Canada on both the TDC Pioneer Village Station and Etobicoke General Hospital projects, after which he continued to develop his career at Gillam Group and at Roshan, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, working on several residential and ICI projects. In 2020, he opened his own business, Skyline Builders Corporation, which operates in both the residential and commercial sectors. He currently runs two businesses as owner and CEO of Skyline and as the Chief Operating Officer and Senior Project Manager at the Guri Group. Welcome, Julio.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
After years in the entertainment field as the co-owner of the Core Group talent agency, Carol Emerald decided it was time for a major career transition. It was this challenging transition process that led her to become a career development practitioner. Carol graduated from the Career and Work Counselor program in 2007 and was thrilled to return to the program in 2011 as a part-time faculty member. Career Perspectives, her company, it's a private practice offering a range of services in counseling, facilitation, curriculum development, and small business coaching. Thank you for joining us today, Carol.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
That's great. And just everyone, Carol does have to go off. She's got a hard stop at just before 1 o'clock. So we really appreciate Carol taking the time to be with us.
My pleasure.
Raka Tabasan is a brand marketing and digital marketing professional with over 6 years of experience. She is a graduate of the Digital Media Marketing Program. Raka started her career with Sanofi Bangladesh, managing their entire insulin portfolio with great success. She's currently working for the Entrepreneurship Hub of George Brown College, Start GBC, and she's with them as a digital communications and events coordinator. Among other responsibilities of her role at Start GBC, she consults businesses of various sizes on their marketing strategies. Welcome, Raka.
Thank you, Trisha. I'm very happy to be here.
Damika Hart is a graduate from our graphic design program and award-winning creative entrepreneur, founder of female-powered design agency Unsigned, and co-founder of tech company Clutch App, a marketplace that connects new drivers with local instructors. What a brilliant idea. Damika's passion lies in creating space for young women of color to work in design and tech, using these skills to serve a social purpose. She is currently on track to become a full-stack developer with the goal of playing a larger tech role at Clutch and Unsigned and sharing her knowledge with other aspiring tech entrepreneurs. Thanks for joining us, Damika.
Thanks for having me.
Raghavan Baladurai has been the CEO of Infinite Outsourcing Solutions since 2013, but his was a long journey, starting as a conventional refugee in Canada with the main goal of completing his education. He enrolled at George Brown College to study business admin accounting while working full-time. Seeing his ambition and persistence, George Brown College provided much needed support to complete his studies. Working at Magna, LG, and Sobeys was a great learning experience, which helped him progress his career and build his business. Welcome, Raghavan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, now just a little note, a side note. Raka will be providing information about Start GBC towards the end of our chat, so stay tuned to learn more about Start GBC and how it can support you as you consider starting your own biz or social enterprise. It is a great resource, so stay tuned and you'll hear all about that from Raka. So there is so much to learn from all of you, so let's get started. And the first question I have is and this is a question to all of you, What was the most influential factor that contributed to you starting your own business? Was there a class project, a professor, a special moment at the college, or did something happen outside the college? And I'm going to start with Carol. Oh, you're on mute. I knew this would happen. You're
Already, yep.
Yep.
Right off the top.
Right off
I
the
have
top.
2 businesses, so there's been 2 starts. So initially, with the talent agency, I was working with another agent who owned a company, and he made a number of major mistakes and had to close. And that presented this window of opportunity that was that big. And myself and my partners jumped through it in a week and open up our own business. So that was opportunity. And actually with the second one with Career Perspectives, again, I got my first contract and then decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up, I call it a portfolio career. I got my first contract with the Ontario Self-Employment Benefit Program as a small business coach. So with that, that prompted me to go full tilt with Career Perspectives at the time. So it was a part of opportunity, seizing the moment.
Right. And that's probably a common story for many of you. Julio, how about you? Was there any influential factor, anything that played a part in you starting your business?
Well, since I have to choose the most influential factor, I'd say it was the constant desire to provide a better life for my loved ones, which includes having financial stability, freedom, and to be specific, that is like to be able to travel back home freely to see family without having to worry about the costs, right? So, of course, there are really good second and third ranking reasons as well. There was, however, that aha moment in college when I was at George Brown, when I was really insecure about construction contracts and project execution back in 2013 when I first tried to open my business. But the education I received at George Brown College allowed me to gain the confidence that I was missing. That would be my answer to that question.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we played a part in that. I like that. Damika, how about you? Was there anything that really affected that you got that moment like I'm going to do this?
Yeah, definitely. I actually started unsigned right before I started school, and it was actually going through the Youth Startup Hub program, which was an incubator that was with the School of Design and the Game Design building around 2015 was when I started college. I wasn't actually planning to go to George Brown, but I went through that program. It was a 6-month program where we got to work on our business plans, get insight from different entrepreneurs. And at the end, there was a pitch competition, and myself and my now business partner won that pitch competition. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do this full time. And it gave me like the funding to start up and really develop the business. And I ended up connecting with the dean of the School of Design and then going to George Brown for 3 years.
Well, I'm glad that you chose George Brown College. Absolutely. Congratulations on the success.
I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that's great. And Raghavan, how about you? Was there an aha moment for you when you thought this is gonna set me on the right path?
Oh, definitely. Actually, you know what? One of the thing is, I would tell you, coming from a different country, like as a refugee, I mentioned earlier, and walking through the King and Bay and King area to the George Brown College definitely gave me the dream building, aspect. On the other side, I've been working for LG Electronic. It was $1 billion sales, $40 million budget, and all. So when I was managing that kind of a business, there are a lot of decisions you make on a daily basis, but every decision sometimes gives you an amazing results. But then I was like, okay, I'm working for somebody making those decisions. Why not make that decision for myself? So when I decided to quit LG, I in fact texted my wife and said I quit LG, and they really had a hard time believing it. But then it's the feeling of deciding your own destiny. It's an amazing concept, and that is achievable through business. And the other thing is we always think the most powerful people in the world is the leaders of the nations and all, but they don't realize the king makers behind them are business owners. So that's one of the reasons I realized even during the protest time, and various other things, I realized that influencers and kingmakers are actually the most powerful people. Only that is achievable if you are somebody. And I think I will attach to Julio's thing, because he wants to do the same thing. The autonomy and the family, various other things are achievable through become a business or your own business owner or own boss. Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
your story about walking it down Young and Bay Area, which is a pretty impressive corner, right? Let's say King and Bay, and you're a young person and everything is possible. Everything is
That's
possible, and
that's very.
what an empowering feeling that is.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you. And I wanted to know, I know that at the beginning of any business, you've got hurdles, right? What were some of the hurdles that you faced when you were starting your business, and how did you overcome them? And I'm going to start with Damika.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest hurdles that almost everybody starting up their businesses is like finding financing. And when I started my business, I was 17, turning 18 years old. I went to the bank. I had been self-employed for like maybe like 3 years prior. I was also like a child to the bank. So I went to the bank and they're like, yeah, we can't help you. You have to have a job. Can't get you a line of credit. I was pretty much like, okay, I can't do anything without like having some full-time income. But what I did to get around that, because I was like, I really want to work on my business. My mentor had told me I had quit my job that year when I really decided that I was going to do things full time. So it was either I figured out how to run my business or I went back to my job, which was selling shoes at Foot Locker. And I decided to run my business, even though I didn't have any money. But I did things like going to pitch competitions, going to entrepreneur like accelerators, and applying for grants. So that's how I got to start off, I probably got like around like $5,000, which got me the equipment that I needed, a new laptop, and just the things that I needed to really start off. And then from there, I was able to generate more revenue, and then continue on by bootstrapping essentially.
That is an amazing story. So yeah, so what perseverance, right, in the face of some of these hurdles is quite it's a kind of skill or talent you need to have, or a wherewithal, just to keep going, and that is incredible. Did anyone else have is that their hurdle was more the financial hurdle? Maybe Raghavan, for you, is there a financial hurdle?
Actually, I would say that when you are coming from a conventional family where education is the most important thing, and they will be like, and then work for somebody is the concept. When you want to come out of that comfort zone, it is very difficult, and you will have a lot of difficulties facing your family, because you made a decision to run a business and you can't fail now because you have monthly obligations and all kinds of things. That was also a hurdle. Definitely, I will agree with Jamaica as well. Financial hurdles was there. Since I also have to bootstrap my own business, but on the other side, if you look at it, you can always go and get $100,000 student loan, but there's no way you can get a business loan that easily. So that's the problem with banking institutions and Canadian financial institution. That unless otherwise you prove yourself, you won't get a business loan. So BDC and all kinds of things they do, but you still have to prove yourself. So the hurdle was definitely my family, as well as the financial hurdle as well, where I had no choice but to succeed.
Julio, how about you? What were your hurdles that you had to face?
I resonate a lot with the previous answers. Oftentimes, though, the biggest hurdles, if I might, were self-inflicted. I had to really overcome the fears of failure,
Mhm.
and also bad habits like procrastination, which is a big one. It affects us all sometimes. And I could really only overcome them with faith and self-motivation. Other times, the hurdles were barriers of knowledge and a lack of direction. So again, Damika had to figure it out, or just go back to a job. That's really what it bears on, is are you self-motivated enough to get there? Only you can, and most people start business for wealth reasons, so only you can create wealth for yourself. No one's gonna do it for you. So if I always told myself, if I don't do it, then who will? Who's gonna do it for me? We create wealth for others very easily and involuntarily. We just don't realize it. That's what jobs are, right? you're there 9 to 5 doing exactly that, creating wealth for somebody else. And so it's really important to understand the amount of time that it takes to be successful. It's not going to happen overnight. That's half the battle. Be
Yeah.
patient, right? And then the other half is knowing you will fail many times, but you have to learn from it. So it's many times it's self-inflicted.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm sure that's one of the biggest hurdles is having the belief that you can actually do something.
That's right.
Carol, did any of these resonate with you? What are your hurdles that you had to face?
Well, they certainly do, but particularly with the aspect of time. I found with a number of my business clients, a lot of them were interested in starting their own business because to them it represented a certain amount of flexibility and freedom. And my joking reply was, yes, you get to choose which 16 hours of the day you want to work each day. So it's understanding, as it was already resonated, that especially starting out, you're going to have to dedicate a lot of time. And with my second business, Career Perspectives, I was a single parent at the time. So that represented additional challenges. And you've got to go in eyes wide open and expectations managed. Again, yes, patience. A lot of my clients, I didn't know it would take this long. I didn't know it would be quite this hard. And those that hang in there find success. Those that don't, obviously don't find success because they just haven't given it a long enough try. But it is a huge investment of time.
So it sounds in general for everyone. I mean, you're going to, that challenges, you're going to face challenges. They are going to be put in front of you, and it's how you get through those. And there's something that's come out to me as you're speaking about these hurdles, and it's, the kind of, whether it's courage or persistence or faith, that is a personality trait that is you have to have in order to be successful in your own business. Would you agree? Is there a personality that really does well? And if so, what are some of those traits that they need to possess? And I'm going to start with Julio.
All right. So yes, absolutely. And Carol just touched on that. It's not everybody can make it, and it really depends on how self-motivated you are. I think I mentioned this in my previous answer. It's being motivated enough. Can you motivate yourself to get up in the morning and realize I have a 16-hour day ahead of me, right? And what am I going to do? So you have to be willing to sacrifice, in most cases, a lot of time. And another factor is being focused. Are you focused enough? Do you have your goals set out before you? How organized are you in getting your checklist done for the day? And so there's definitely a personality type, because if you're not, again, the basis of business is having clients. So if your personality isn't a personality that can get along with clients or communicate with clients in an effective manner, then your business kind of gets lost in the clouds because no one really understands what you do. So part of that is being motivated to teach yourself. How do you market? How do you can you do your elevator pitch successfully? And many of the times is that first minute when you meet a client that will portray the type of business you run, the type of person you are, and can they trust you enough to hire you as their representative or as the business that they would like to pursue further business with. So I think yes, that is an important trait.
Oh, for sure. And Damika, I'm going to ask you, so the like courage, motivation, being focused, what do you think is the most important trait you need to have to be successful?
I definitely agree with Julio in terms of being like self-motivated. That's something that has been a game changer for me. It's something that I think it's a trait that I've always had, and I see it in other entrepreneurs as well. outside of that, I think a really big thing is I always hear like being extroverted is going to get you like further in business. However, I'm an introvert, so I've had to fake it. So I would definitely say being able to communicate with clients, but you don't need to be like the greatest social butterfly in order to do well in business. There's always ways to get around it. If you could find somebody who is an extrovert that could work with you and they could take on like all the talking and the things that you want to do, that's perfectly fine. However, if you're by yourself, then yeah, you got to fake it till you make it and then get a little bit more comfortable speaking. But I don't think that being an introvert should like deter anybody from wanting to start their own business.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think with that, introverts there's so many amazing skills that introverts bring that extroverts can't. That whole focus piece over a long period of time, right? Sometimes that ability to really stick with something, that's really important. Carol, do you agree with some of what's being said? Is there a particular trait you think that hasn't been talked about yet that's really essential?
There is one, and that is a comfort level around risk and uncertainty. If you can't handle that, if it's really going to cause you a lot of anxiety, you're going to struggle. And I found with some of my business clients, they were quite happy to take a loan from the bank, but taking their own savings according to put up to their business became a bit of a barrier. And it's like, well, if you're not willing to take that risk, why would the bank take that risk? What's holding you back? And sometimes it does circle around to a level of confidence, but that comfort level around risk and uncertainty. Even with as a talent agent, my actors, right? They get a great gig, but there's always what's the next gig, that a level of uncertainty about what will be next. And you have to be comfortable with that.
Really important point. Raghavan, does any of this resonate with you and the traits that you think are really important for those who are going to launch their biz?
Yeah, so this particular point, some of the panelists may disagree with me because where I came from as a business owner. So persistence and resilience are extremely important, but I came up with the strategy when I get into the business is I don't even have a plan B. There's no going back kind of an approach in my world, because the moment that we prepare our plan B, we already kind of doubting ourselves going in. So whatever I've done throughout my life, I never try to have a plan B. If I want to achieve something, there's no other choice. Just go for it. The best way to learn to swim is, sink or swim option. Yeah, and that's where I'm in a position that I'm able to run a couple of different businesses. That I always tell my staff that when you make a decision, please understand that you guys can always go and find another job. I won't be preparing my resume again. So we have no choice what to win every option. But doesn't mean that failure is never going to happen. It's about how you treating the failure. How are you going to, if you make a mistake, how are you going to handle that mistake? As even Carol mentioned, that do you have that courage to face it? So definitely those elements are extremely important for the business.
And I think that, it sounds like you're talking about determination as a really important, personality trait where you have to be determined that you're going to succeed. And that's where you put your sights. So that's great. Now, I know that I think Damika talked about finances and Raghavan about, how do you fund your business? Anyone else use any other way of funding your business? So was it a bank? Did you pull from resources that were available to youth or newcomers or anything like that?
Yeah, I could mention it. Okay, go ahead, Julio. Otherwise, I could mention it as well.
Yeah.
So I've actually used an organization called Futurepreneur. I sincerely think that as every one of the students and all has to look into that, because they are providing the business tools plus the initial funding. It's an unsecured lending. As long as you know how to present your SWOT analysis and a business plan, they will give you a Futurepreneur will give you a loan. It's a government funded program. And when you get, let's say that you get $15,000 from Futurepreneur, BDC will double it.
Wow.
Business Development Corporation will double it. And if you get Futurepreneur and BDC loan, then RBC and few other banks will also come behind it and lend you money as well. So the best way for the youngsters under 40 to get a business loan is the Futurepreneur is one of the option. And it's also helped me a lot in terms of developing my business plan and do a SWOT analysis or market analysis, because they will also assign you a mentor. So that's an amazing concept. Yes.
It's great. Okay, so that's called Future Partner. And
No, Futurepreneur. It's an entrepreneur concept, or it's Futurepreneur.
Futurepreneur. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. And maybe I'll ask, I know someone is monitoring the chat box. Rosa, if you could put in Futurepreneur so everyone sees that. That is very cool. And I'm sure Raka's going to talk a little bit about that too. Okay, now Julio, you wanted to weigh in on getting like what you use to fund your business.
Yes. Great commentary on the funding. Those are excellent resources. I just want to motivate anyone out there who has a hard time maybe with banks or getting loans, is a little, I guess, under the radar in terms of being able to find these resources. Another one I would like to motivate other people with is hard work and labor. In particular, in my industry, in the construction industry, the way I funded my business was by working hard. You start small. You don't expect to have a multi-million-dollar business right off the bat. I worked out on the field, renovations, putting up walls, demoing, tile work, you name it. So I did a lot of the grunt work to start, and anything that I was making, I would inject it back into the business. I would purchase office items for my office. I would do this. I would do that. Right. I would basically put the money back, reinvest the money that I was making on the field for the business. So again, it goes down to sacrifice. How much are you willing to sacrifice? And also that means it affects your lifestyle as well. You can't expect to be traveling everywhere all the time, and then there goes all your money, there goes all your investment money. So you have to be able to, in a reasonable manner, inject back some of that money that you made working into your business if you're in a different situation.
Yeah, and I think that backs on to what Carol was saying, is you've got to have that risk factor. And part of that is understanding that you invest
That's
your
right.
time, and you invest the work you do, and what you make, you put towards the business. And maybe Carol, you want to jump in on more around how when you were funding your business, what sort of things were you using?
Well, there were a couple of things at play with the talent agency. We all had actors already. We had a roster that was generating income. So that transition initially wasn't that difficult. But what I did do a few years in, when we were doing really well, and what else would we like to do? And we were starting to think about ideas. I went to the bank then and got a huge credit line. And the bank, the account manager says, "Well, what do you need it for?" And I said, "I don't." "Fine, no problem." And handed us this gigantic credit line. And then the next year, SARS hit, and all kinds of production started running away from Toronto because nobody wanted to come here to shoot. So then we needed it. So yeah, go after funding when you don't need it.
That's a good idea. That's a good tip. Very good tip. And okay, so I wanted to ask Tamika something around the resources that she used and the tools that she would recommend for anyone starting their own business. And that can tie into finding finance, getting going, creating a business plan. What resources would you recommend, Tamika?
Well, to start off with, like in terms of funding, I guess this one hits funding and resources. A program that I actually went into right after graduation was called BizStart, and it's funded by the government of Canada and Youth Employment Services, and that was a 6-month entrepreneurship program where for I believe youth from age 18 to 39. Don't quote me on the exact age range, but it was for young entrepreneurs. we were actually paid minimum wage to be in class to learn and develop our businesses. So the end result was a fully completed business plan, and it was full time, like 9 to 4 p.m. every day, in class, working on our business plans, networking with other entrepreneurs, and getting real industry insight every day. So that, like, even after working on my business for like maybe like 4 years, that was a real like catalyst from taking me from just myself, like working as a solopreneur. And by the end of that program, it was my first time having staff, and actually going out and taking on much larger projects. So it was a real game changer. And also being able to have like that income while I was working on the business plan was incredible.
That's fantastic. So those are great tools. So the Biz Start, and I'm going to send this out to all the participants. We're going to do a list of all these supports. So that's a great one. And the Futurepreneur as well. I'm going to ask maybe Raghavan, what kind of resources and tools would you recommend for anyone starting their own business? What are the crucial ones?
Oh, definitely. Actually, when I started my business in the basement, I actually did a business plan. I mean, definitely Futurepreneur helped me out, but the business plan has a target to achieve sales big. At that time, I researched all the highest paid CEOs in Canada. I said, if I want to run a business, at least I want to beat somebody's salary. So that was my initial target. And the other thing is, I've also done a lot of market research because people always, don't get into business without proper market research. And that is key. And in organizations like Futurepreneur and other organizations can help you with it. And in fact, it's free. And when you get a mentor and all that, some of the services, you can get it for free. So having a good business plan broken down into weekly targets, it's an amazing concept. Or even if you want to do an hourly sale, daily sales, whatever that, you do definitely need a great business plan that's broken down. And the other thing is a good accounting support, because when you are starting business, if you don't know your numbers, it's very hard to succeed in business. The numbers are key. The accounting tool or accounting support, because I'm an accountant from George Brown, that's what I studied, but that actually definitely helped me out as well. So the great accounting tool, along with an amazing business plan and market research, all those three will definitely help you grow the business.
Carol, what are your top 3 resources you'd suggest people get onto? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, there we go again. First is yourself, and making sure that you take care of yourself, that self-care becomes really, really important, because you may not have sick days or disability insurance, at least right away. So take care of it. Sleep, exercise, you've got to make sure that stays on the top of the list. Second is what I call a runway. So it's making sure with your business plan, again, fundamental, you need to evaluate sort of a cash flow forecast. When do you anticipate actually breaking even, i.e. meeting your business expenses, but then when are you actually bringing money into your household? You got to have enough money to manage so that you're actually bringing money into the household. And how long will that take? If your runway is only 6 months, you're going to be making very different decisions that might affect you long term than if you've got a runway that's 2 years. Right? But that means savings. That means having money that you can live on while you get your business started. Okay. The business plan, I've read hundreds of them with my business clients, and I could tell pretty quickly whether the vision was clear and whether the person was confident in what they had to offer the market, whatever it might be. So if it helps you go through from step by step, understanding who's my market, what are their issues, what are their concerns, what's the problem I'm solving, who's the competition, how am I going to price. It helps you, it forces you to look at all kinds of different things. You can't anticipate everything, and it should be a living document. You want to keep coming back to it and comparing your progress to that document, and then reevaluating it, adjusting it again. But it can be a very powerful tool if it's used as a living document, not just written and then thrown in a closet or a desk drawer.
And that's a good point, is to come back to it and see the progress and see where you need to maybe even shift something that you have on your plan. Yeah. Good. Julio, is there anything that you would suggest that anyone who wants to start their business take a look at? Any resources?
Absolutely. Your network. If you've built a network, great. If you haven't, I would highly, highly encourage anybody to go to events, go to networking events in particular, or if you're at school, go to the school events, meet people, talk to people. Yes, I resonate a lot with Damika, and if you're introverted, it's one of those skill sets that you don't necessarily need in certain businesses, but in some businesses you do. You do need to have an ability to get out there. I was very shy myself. It's one of those obstacles you have to overcome in some businesses. I'm not saying all of them, but you definitely need to be able to network with people in depending on the sector you're in. Second resource I would say is internet and technology. Use technology to your advantage. For example, I carry my iPad. I invested in an iPad, invested in a phone, invested in a headset. So when you're on the road, you want to be safe, right? As much wherever you can save time, do it. Time is money. Time is valuable. So if there's any technology or anything out there that can help you save time, use it and be efficient at what you do. And then and this is for people starting their business, right? This is maybe you don't have the funding yet, but like I said, whenever you do make money, inject it back in your company and use technology. Sign up for these events. It might be $50 to go, but at least you might get a lead wherever you're going. And it's important to understand that as well. And Carol hit that nail on the head when she said it's a risk. It's being able to be comfortable with risks. A lot of that is that. Some months you might come, your expenses might be more than your revenue or whatever you've generated in sales, and that's perfectly normal. So you might fail month to month sometimes, but hopefully in the next month, with the effort and the work you put in, it'll come back to you. And then the last one I'd say is reach out to friends, right? Your friends, if you have friends, hopefully you do, or friends or family, reach out to them and see if they might have a lead for you, or tell them what you do, or take them out for coffee, not necessarily because you want to make business, but don't be afraid to share what you do and share your passion with others. They'll see that passion and they might be interested in what you do. So that I'd say those are the tools that are important for starting your own business, is getting out there to be in business.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't want to cut you off there.
Oh yeah, no, the last thing I was gonna say was to stay in business, you have to be in business. So keep that in mind on your daily walk.
Yeah, to stay in business, you have to be in business. I love that. Okay, so some really good resources, and we'll get that out to the participants, Buzz. But some things that came out was just what's out there in the community for you, whether it's the Futurepreneur, Biz Start, accounting support, self-care, get out there and meet people. So just getting into a community is going to be a great way to build support and make you feel that you've got someone to share your ideas with. And investing in technology, invest in yourself and the business you want. And with that, I'm going to bring Raka in because we also have a resource at George Brown College, and I would love her to talk about that because it ties into all of this, because I think Start GBC is a community that grads can access. So Raka, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to start with just what is Start GBC and how can the program help budding entrepreneurs?
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here today with all these business owners That's my work. So Star GBC is a physical and virtual entrepreneurship hub. We connect students, alumni, and the community with resources, programs, and support. Our focus is to help you develop entrepreneurial skills and grow from ideation to commercialization. Two of our most prominent programs are an intensive week-long summer camp, which is starting August 22nd, and our work integrated learning program that runs every semester. You can get your co-op credit from this integrated learning program as you work on your business idea with us. I will link the programs in the chat for you to take a closer look. All of our services are free, and we provide one-on-one meetings tailored to individual needs of a client. And
oh, you went on mute suddenly, Raka. That's weird. Okay, let me just, how did that happen? Are you back on? Why are you not? It says you're unmuted here, like you're not on mute from my end, but we can't hear you for some reason. Oh, now you're coming in. It's like it's not connected properly. Just check your connection, I guess, on your computer. There you are.
No,
You're back. Okay.
in and out.
I didn't change anything.
No,
In
she's
and
not.
out. Yeah, now you're gone. Oh, nothing. We can't hear. Just give her a second. She'll just try to reconnect in some way. Because I'd love her to talk about a few things. I want to have her talk about how do you access funding for grads through to Start GBC help with that. Yeah, you're coming through very, very lightly.
Yeah, that's okay.
There, you're better. Good. That's good.
Better? Okay. Okay, so I shared some of the programs that Star GBC runs, and feel free to take a look and get back to me if you have any questions. And Trisha, you were saying something about funding?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things I wanted to add. Like, do you also help grads to find funding, or do you bring people in from banks to talk about how they support youth, for example, looking to fund projects?
Yes. So, for example, when Raghavan mentioned BDC and Futurepreneur, and then Dimika mentioned BizStart, so we are actually partners with all of them. And Star GBC, you know, it's not only partnered with just government places, but we also are linked into public and private portals for funding. There are many industry-specific funding, and often there are fundings for minority groups. And Star GBC can connect you with the right resources to get you access to all kinds of funding that you are eligible for.
Okay, that's good.
And for the summer camp, we have people coming in from various organizations, from various industries to talk about what they can offer you as a mentor and advisor to help you get your business from ideation to commercialization.
Wonderful. So it's a great resource for grads. Oh, now my voice is coming through strangely. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, as a consultant to businesses, what do you see the biggest mistake made by those trying to start their business?
So like I said, I consult on people's marketing plans, be it digital or be it traditional. And the biggest issues I find with branding or marketing strategies is the lack of consistency or lack of planning and the absence of using metrics to identify next moves. When Raghavan mentioned that numbers are very important, metrics and numbers are very important in your marketing strategy as well. You got to track those things. Another important thing to remember is that traditional marketing and digital marketing principles do coincide. People kind of forget that. It is important to remember that digital marketing is a subset of marketing and traditional principles still apply to it.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, thank you for sharing the information on Start GBC. Anybody can find out. I think there's some links, maybe hopefully there's some links that have been put into the chat box around that. If not, I'll send that out to you, or Raki can add if you're there and you just want to add something into the chat box. Great.
Yes.
Excellent. And I did want to ask everyone, I'm just very conscious of our time. I want to have in under 10 words, what is the biggest advice that you would share with an aspiring entrepreneur? And we'll start with Rakas, and she's right here.
I would say that go to as many, when you're starting out, go to as many pitch competitions as you can. If you know the core value of your business, if the branding is done right, you can clear those competitions and get a lot of seed funding for your business. And your risk appetite has to be bigger. It has to be there. And another thing would be networking. Reach out to people, talk to people, get to know their pain points. And if your business can help with that, make sure you communicate.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks. Carol, how about you? What is your final piece of advice to our aspiring entrepreneurs?
One of the phrases we used to share with the business clients at the Ontario Self-Employment Benefit Program was sell your strengths and hire your weaknesses. So understand that self-assessment, understand where your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, where do you need help? And is it better for you to get help in those areas? Like some of them, the idea of doing accounting and bookkeeping just totally boggled their mind. So get a bookkeeper, at least to start out, and spend your time building your business. So understand those strengths and challenges and make sure you're putting your time to its best use.
Okay, that's great advice. And Damika, how about you? What's your advice to anybody who's thinking about starting their own biz?
My advice would be very similar to Carol's. Don't do it alone. So whether that's finding a business partner, finding a mentor, or if you can't have either of those, both of them super important. But if you can't at the time, finding somebody else to take on those weaknesses, it makes your life a lot easier. But yeah, doing it solo, it'll take a lot longer than if you're doing it with other people.
Okay, good advice. Julio, how about you?
All right, let's see if I could keep it under 10 words. Don't give up.
It's been hard.
Nothing worth having is gained easily.
Oh, wow, nice. I love it. Okay, great. Raghavan, how about you? Can you do under 10?
I didn't count it, but you know what? Ability to grow thick skin for sure, and because you have to face people who are difficult in the business world, so ability to grow thick skin for sure. The other thing is, whatever you could learn from your failure, that can turn into a solution for your business.
Oh, such great wise words from everyone. I'm going to open it. The time is, we're just 10 minutes to 1. I know Carol has to leave a little earlier, so I'm going to open it up to the questions, and some questions have come through. Let me find them. Okay. So I've got, all right. Uriel is asking, which tools do you recommend for networking, or maybe which venues, or I know we're kind of in a virtual world, but who can talk to that? What are the resources out there to help with networking? Oh, Julio, I see your hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't speak for any other industries, but in the construction industry, there's Construct Canada and numerous other events where tradesmen and other construction managers or manufacturers get together and show off their products. It's a great place for networking and meeting people. I know George Brown College typically inform students when it happens. If not, then I would suggest to ask the professors or even the dean about these events, and it's a great place. In particular for the construction industry. I saw Raghavan mentioned LinkedIn. It's another good place to start as well. Create your profile on there and start sharing what you do, what you've accomplished, or just it's a good place to sell who you are and what you do. So LinkedIn is another good platform. You'll meet a lot of people. I've met a lot of people through LinkedIn, so that's also a really good resource for networking.
And it's a lot of the groups, joining the groups, right, through LinkedIn, are some of them are amazing. Yep. So that is a great suggestion. Anyone else? I see 2 hands. I'm going to go with, sorry, Carol, Damika first.
I'd say heading on to Eventbrite and just typing in either if you're looking to network with people that are in your industry or your specific client set, just typing in whatever that industry is, and finding events to join in. Joining your local chamber of commerce is a great way to network and meet other people and get resources, even leads. And lastly, had one more, but I forgot it. I'll come back to it. I don't know why it just left.
Just put your hand up again, and I'll take it. Carol, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I would just say it is certainly industry specific. Part of this may be your market research to understand if you're talking about networking and trying to build that client base, your market research is going to help you understand your client, what their habits are. If your target market is the 20-something, that might be very different than if your target market is the 60-something in terms of how to find those clients. In terms of networking within your industry, et cetera, alumni, I can't tell you how helpful my fellow alumni from George Brown College have been in my career development and my business development. So that's been huge. The people that I went to school with, even some of my profs, have been very, very helpful. Mm-hmm. So those relationships are really important.
Yeah, and the associations. I know, Carol, there are some really great associations in your field. Yeah. And so in every field, you've got to search out, where are your people, and you'll find there are associations around that can really support you on that.
Yeah.
I think is there a hand up? Sure. Is that Raghav?
Yes. Okay. I would like to suggest a few things too, if you don't mind. And one of the things is the banks and BDC kind of corporations also host networking events. Please attend them, because when the one who lends you money always wants you to succeed. So, and they bring in good speakers and also industry expertise into the networking events. And they're one of the best industry expertise that they can bring in. It's good for you. And sometimes those speakers are like really, good, successful people, CEOs of larger organizations. You will never be able to get a hold of them through LinkedIn or any other ways. But in these kind of networking events, you will be able to get a hold of them because they are paid well to come to those networking for speaking, right? And the other thing is YMCA, JVS, and various other organizations. Yeah. They host events, and please attend them. And the other thing is you will end up finding job developers. They will help you with your staffing needs and subsidize your first or two, three employees in the initial business. Like a lot of people have problem with that too, because when you want to have an employee, they don't have people to support you, and they will subsidize your staffing as well. So these are the things that you have to look into it through the networking events. One, don't go and sell it, but at the same time, try to buy services in the networking events as well.
I got a question about that. How around the banking one, that was interesting. How do you find out about banking networking events that are happening? Where would you go?
Your banker can take care of it for you, and BDC can take care of it for you, because every single time that there is an event that hosted by RBC or BDC and various other things, if you tell your banker or commercial banking person, they will make sure that you're invited, even if it's a golf tournament or anything. And I'm pretty sure one of you guys are playing golf as well, and they will always make sure that you're included. Yeah. A lot of people are forgetting the fact that selling is only possible when you start buying things from others as well. It's just going there and giving your business card is not going to get you business, but you also have to accommodate other people's business.
Mm-hmm. It's a give and take sort of situation, right? Okay. Well, you know what? I know Carol had to go off. It's 5-1. I think I'm going to wrap the questions only because I don't think we're going to have time. But what I'll do is I'll take those questions and I'll reach out to the speakers and ask them what they thought about a couple of other questions that have come in. So that being said, well, I want to thank our panelists, number one, for their time and their incredible insights on how to be your own boss. Carol's gone, but Julio, Raghavan, Demika, and Raka, thank you so much for joining us today. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your day.